Human trafficking, according to the Department of Homeland Security, involves the use of force, fraud, or coercion to obtain some type of labor or commercial sex act. Every year, millions of men, women, and children are trafficked worldwide, including right here in the United States. It can happen in any community, and victims can be any age, race, gender, or nationality. Traffickers might use violence, manipulation, or false promises of well-paying jobs or romantic relationships to lure victims into trafficking situations. Language barriers, fear of their traffickers, and/or fear of law enforcement frequently keep victims from seeking help, making human trafficking a hidden crime. There is a facility in southwest Arkansas that is scheduled to open this summer to help those rescued from trafficking. Hebron Hills Aftercare Facility seeks to minister to the physical, mental, and spiritual needs of these victims.
So I'm Angelyn McMurray. I'm the founder, director, president, whatever you want to call it, of We Are Free. And I'm originally from the Northeast, the suburbs of Philadelphia, so South Jersey. I was born and raised there. My grandfather was a missionary. My father is a pastor. I became a child of Christ when I was a young child. I pursued the legal field. So I went to undergraduate school at Rutgers. I continued at Rutgers Law School, became an attorney. Always had a heart for missions, my grandfather being a missionary, and understanding that we're here on earth for something beyond us, not for us, but to give God honor and glory for all that we do in life. And I guess in my late 20s, I started to really seek God's direction for what God would have wanted in my life, where He would want it to go. And I was then made aware of and found out more about human trafficking, and not just the fact that it exists in some far-off place in another land. Not that those individuals are any less important than Americans, but that this was a significant, real issue and crisis here in the United States. And it broke my heart. It broke my heart, not just because of the injustice associated with trafficking, obviously, when you have your humanity and your dignity ripped from you, but how individuals were treated in such a dehumanized manner. So individuals are being robbed of their very humanity, and wanting individuals to know that we're created in the image of God. There's no reason, there's never a reason to be treated the way individuals are treated in the manner they are with human trafficking. And God just put that on my heart and drew me into that. So we, with my husband's support, my husband and I were praying through this and talking through what this would mean and starting to work in the field of human trafficking. We were really, the Spirit led us to start this organization, but then also not just having an organization where we would talk about the issues, because you can talk about the issues all day long. If you don't do anything about the issue, all you're doing is talking. So we wanted to have a facility and have a place where individuals coming out of trafficking could receive restorative care, and that they would be exposed to the love of Jesus Christ, and to understand that each of us individually is created in the image of God, and we all have value, not because of who we are or what we do, but because of who created us. And so we wanted to have a full aftercare facility for restorative care, and that ultimately led us to Arkansas through a donation of land. That's how we got here to Arkansas. So now we're in southwest Arkansas. It's our main base of operation now. We have come into acquiring now 45 acres of land, upon which we're building this restorative care facility. I'm sitting now in the library of our first group home, which will hopefully open in the next 2 to 3 months. And this home will house 12 survivors of trafficking. And we also have here on site a full counseling center where we'll be able to provide full therapeutic counseling, psychological care, but also occupational therapy, medical care as well. We'll be able to provide everything other than hospitalization. We'll have obviously a spiritual care component and just breathing life back into these individuals as they recover from their experience. So it's hard to give it a monetary value. I will give you numbers, but I don't want anybody thinking that these are they're not inaccurate numbers, but they might not be fully accurate as well. Because this is a criminal enterprise, so no one's filing taxes. There's no way to really track this money. But it's believed that worldwide, it's about $15 billion or greater than that worldwide. And then if I have my numbers correct and I can recall, I don't have my notes, but if you extrapolate out from that and you see how much of the United States with our population, how we spend, it's about a $9 billion industry.
Compare that to some of the other industries that we're familiar with.
So it is very much on par with the trafficking of arms and guns worldwide. I believe that it is a higher grossing in arms. There's more money made in human trafficking than trafficking of illegal weapons. And then, of course, there's drug trafficking. So I believe drug trafficking is still a greater profitable enterprise. But human trafficking is growing in profitability, because if you're selling drugs, if I'm a drug dealer and I have whatever it is, I'm cooking meth, I'm getting cocaine from South America, I sell a product, you sell a product one time and then that's it. But if you're selling a human, you can sell that human 10 times on day 1, 10 times on day 2, 10 times on day 3, which is very routine and very normal. And you sell that individual until that individual expires. And by that I mean they'll die. So individuals in trafficking, from the time they enter trafficking, I was told, I've been advised, and so this is, again, a loose number, but I don't want it to say that this isn't accurate. So it's believed that only about 1% of individuals survive trafficking. And by surviving, that means living beyond 7 to 10 years. So any individual pulled into trafficking, whether it was they were kidnapped, whether they're being trafficked by their family, whether they were groomed and fooled and tricked and pulled into trafficking in that manner, they're only going to live 7 to 10 years beyond the date of their first entry into trafficking, oftentimes less than that. Because your body just expires. Every time you're being trafficked, that individual, young boy, young girl, they're being raped. So think about, what it would do to your body to be raped 10 times a day. And then the next day you don't have recovery, you're raped 10 times the second day. A body just can't withstand that. So what happens is individuals will die because of injuries related to their trafficking, or when they're no longer profitable, or it's again, this is very crass, but think about it in terms of how a pimp or a trafficker would think about it. If you go to the grocery store, you're not going to buy the beat up, bruised, skin cracked tomato, right? You're going to buy the nice tomato. So if you get to the point where you can't sell a product anymore because it looks like that badly beaten tomato on the shelf, traffickers will just kill individuals who are no longer profitable, because then there's no evidence of anything. And I'm not trying to say that to make it seem dramatic and scary. That's reality. I actually just read this morning of a case in Philadelphia that broke yesterday, where the Special Victims Unit in Philadelphia was going to make an arrest, or to do some research into inquiries into a home that they believe trafficking was happening. When they went there, they did arrest some individuals, and they found a dismembered girl's body in a barrel in the basement. And they can't confirm as of right now, so I don't know that this is confirmed, but it is suspected that that was an individual who was being trafficked, and they're looking for her identity right now through DNA, because this all started because of a missing 17-year-old, I believe, there in Philadelphia. So again, this is violent, and it's not just life-threatening. Trafficking is a death sentence for those in trafficking.
As been said, human trafficking is a hidden crime. Victims may be afraid to come forward to get help. They may be forced or coerced through threats or violence. They may fear retribution from traffickers, including danger to their families. And they may not be in possession or even have control of their identification, their documents or license or anything like that. So it's a very horrible, dangerous crime. The question's not if trafficking will happen, but how will we, as believers, help stop this? How do we help protect our loved ones? How do we help educate ourselves and the church? Understanding trafficking is the first step in helping those rescued from this terrible ordeal. Make use of the information available to you to learn what you can. Talk to your local law enforcement. Ask them to tell you how bad it is in your community and what steps you can take to help fight this horrible, horrible crime.